Thanks for checking out Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA. Here are your hosts, Andrew Hofer and Tom Sigel.
Welcome to Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA. I am Tom Sigel, a field ambassador with our FCA in this area, as well as Andrew Hofer, our area director. And this week we are coming at it from Final Four, especially with the Illini playing in Indianapolis this weekend, the big stage. And we thought, how is the big stage? What is it like? What does it take to get there? The potential pitfalls, because everybody's talking about UConn's been there and they know what to expect and all this stuff, and Illinois hasn't in a while. But also, what is it actually like in the perspective after you've been there? And so this week we have Dave Witzig. He's Hall of Fame coach from Normal Community boys basketball. Been down to state to finished fourth in 2011 and second in 15 and 24. And so he's had multiple experiences with it and has been with our Coaches Huddle. He's presented to our group a couple years ago, and just thought he would be a great guest. So we're excited to have Dave Witzig on this week.
Yeah, and it's good to hear his perspective on the postseason and on helping with the FCA Huddle down there. So excited to hear from him. I apologize. I'm on a remote location today, a busy week. So had to pull over and find a spot to hop in and hear from Coach Witzig, but really excited to hear his perspective.
Hey, we just roll with it, right? Former coaches, if it's not ideal, but I'm sure that we'll be able to make it work the best we can, and hopefully things will go smoothly. So go ahead, Andrew.
Make it happen.
Yep. So we'll be right back with Dave Witzig from Normal Community. Welcome back into Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA. Andrew and I are excited to have our guest, Dave Witzig, Normal Community boys basketball coach, with us. And Dave has come on with our Coaches Huddle and done a presentation a couple of years ago for us, and also spoke at the IBCA clinic and really infused a lot of faith in how that's guided his journey and how he's used that with his program as well. So, Coach, we've had some battles along the way too, and I always thought it was tough because I thought of you as a friend. But why don't we'll let Coach Witzig, Hall of Famer here, kind of talk about your journey a little bit with coaching, any influences you've had along the way to get us rolling.
Yeah, Coach, we did have some great battles, and you were a great mentor to me through the years too. So you're a little bit ahead of me on your career, and so I was able to watch you and learn a lot from you. So I appreciate you a lot and your Christian faith and how you stood for the right thing. So I appreciate that. I grew up in Morton, and Morton's a basketball crazy town. When I was a little kid, they had one of their best teams in 1978-79. Potters were undefeated until Peoria High beat them in the sectional, which left everybody crying in the stands. And so I really enjoyed growing up in Morton, playing there. Went to Olivet Nazarene University, played a little bit there. Wasn't very good, but I learned a lot. And then I started my coaching journey at DMAC High School for 1 year with Scott Cruzy. It was my introduction to small school basketball. I learned a lot from him. He had a bookshelf of coaching videotapes and coaching books that I didn't even know existed. And so I showed up and he would let me borrow his videos and books. And I watched him. One thing I learned from him is if you only have one or two shooters on your team, you have to find ways to get them a shot all the time. And so I learned a lot about small school basketball and how to run a program. My next stop was East Peoria High School for 1 year. I was an assistant sophomore coach. I walked into that situation and they had 6'9" Mark Vershaw and a guy named Corey Kuhn, and they had a great team. And that team made it to the sectional, got beat by AJ Guyton's Peoria High team. And so I learned a lot there. And then I came over to Normal Community when Ron Rose became the head coach. And for 4 years, I was his freshman and sophomore coach. And Coach Rose had a big impact on me about how to run a program, a summer camp, how to invest in kids, how to be around the building. And so I learned a lot from him. A couple of coaches that influenced me were Tony Dungy, reading his things, huge influence, reading how he handled things, and Tom Osborne from Nebraska, reading his books. And basketball wise, watching a guy named Coach Waldo at Edwardsville. And I don't know, Coach, if you've ever dealt with him,
Yep.
but he was one of the best coaches I've ever seen in high school basketball. And so I learned a lot from watching his teams, and he allowed me to call and talk to him, and I picked his brain a lot. So those are some of my influences along the way.
Well, Coach, we got a couple things in common because I'm a ONU grad also, and my first coaching job was at DMAC. So was able to coach one of Scott Cruzy's sons and taught his daughter in junior high English. And so a couple of things in common, but as we dive into the topic today, we're talking about postseason and how it's a little bit different. And it's when it comes to the coaching world, it's definitely unique. And so when you think about postseason play, like what was your approach? Or how did you approach the postseason? Was it any different than the regular season?
Yeah, one thing that is unique about the postseason is you spend so much of your basketball year, including the summer and everything, of just trying to get better. And then you get in the postseason, and then it's almost like we're just trying to survive, the survive in advance quote. And so I have a hard time with that, change that mindset, but it's like, yeah, right now we are just going to try to grind through and find a way to win. And so that's one thing that I really kind of changed when you get to that point, because there's no tomorrow. And I love the regular season, the fact of like, if we lose on a Friday night, it's disappointing, but we're going to try to get better. Well, now you're in the postseason, and we're trying to do whatever it takes to win, to move on to the next game. And so that's one thing that I kind of changed. So I guess example of that would be like, maybe you don't take a guy out for making a silly mistake or something that you might pull somebody earlier in the year to teach him a lesson, but he's one of your better players. You're just riding through it with him now. Those kind of things that maybe you're going to put up with because you're just trying to do that. But a couple of things that I do differently in practice, and I did it this year more than I've ever done it, and I really liked it. In the postseason, we brought up our best freshmen and sophomores, and they were the scout team. So in our practice, we had about 10 freshmen and sophomores, and they just worked with one of our coaches who ran Pekin's offense, United Township's offense, Richwood's. We even ran some Moline plays because we thought we might play them. And those guys did a great job of just being a scout team running the other team's offense. So if you come into practice, you would see 10 guys running plays on their own, getting ready, while the varsity guys were doing warm-up drills, fundamental drills, shooting drills. And then we would meet together. We would go against their plays. And it was a good way for me to learn about the freshmen, sophomores too. I feel like I got a good grasp on what's coming back next year by being with those guys. So those are a couple of things that really change the mindset of like, hey, we got to just find a way, even if it's going to be ugly, to win tonight. And then the other thing in practice, like we had more bodies in practice than we normally do. And those guys were specifically working on the other team's offense and defense. And so it made it a real different feel for that.
So it sounds a little bit like during the season, you're scouting and you're working on those type of things, but you're focused on yourself. And then all of a sudden, when you get 2 days to prep and you've kind of gotten yourself to a point, then you really focus on the opponent. Is that some of it too?
And it's tough too, because you don't, for example, we didn't know if we were going to play United Township or Moline. We didn't know who's going to win. And both teams run great stuff. And so we picked 2 plays from each team that we thought were their best plays and worked against it. We didn't tell our team who's who. So our young guys were working on it and our older guys were just trying to defend it. Because sometimes even 2 days isn't enough sometimes to prepare. So when United Township won, then the next day in practice, we said, hey, yeah, here's the 2 plays you've already defended. Now you're going to be working on this again. And we still had a hard time stopping it when it happened in the game, but I thought it helped.
So did you think, is there added pressure when you say survive in advance, or is it, I know I have my opinions, but is sectional week a little different than regional week? And then the third week's a little different than, like I said, with Illinois, advancing, it's like, okay, it's probably a little different feel. There's only 4 teams left. So what
Yeah.
was your perspective on that
Yeah. My
journey?
perspective, regional week, I'm really uncomfortable because I feel like that's a really doable to win a regional. Uh, we usually have a first round that maybe is not as tough, and then the championship game. Sectional week, you start to get a little more loose. It's a little more relaxed, and we're still as intense in practice. But yeah, you do feel like, hey, this is, you know, we're in sectional week. We told our guys we're down to the round of 32, and then when years we won that game, we're down to 16. There's only 16 teams practicing, and you win that, and you're in the Elite Eight. So yeah, each round you get it's more fun. To me, the pressure almost gets less as you go on because it's just so fun. And we'll say there's over 200 schools right now playing baseball, and we're getting ready for practice, and it gets more and more fun and almost less and less pressure. I don't know if you felt like that or not. Um, there's more pressure of what the end goal to try to get to state is, but it just is so fun that at that moment that your team's playing well and moving on, that I feel like it's less pressure as you go.
Right.
So as you get further into the postseason, there's the potential for more distractions and different pitfalls that can kind of snag you a little bit. What are some of those potential distractions, especially when you're dealing with high school kids? And I'm sure it translates to other levels too, but that can kind of get in the way of postseason success.
Yeah, there's definitely some distractions. The first time we went to state, we've gone 3 times, and it's so fun. And 2011, I know it's a special year to you, Coach, because that's when I saw you in the hallway carrying the 3A state trophy as I was getting ready for a game. I can still see you walking carrying that big thing.
I remember that
Yeah,
because we went
yeah,
2 overtimes. So
yeah,
yeah, you guys were coming in and we were leaving.
yeah. It was. Yeah, I remember seeing you do that. But in 2011, the you know you really don't know what it feels like till you get there. So we finally won a sectional, and 4A super sectional for our area is at Illinois State. And that's a huge goal for our team. If we can get to Illinois State on a Monday night, it's a home game to go to the Final Four. And so the first year we went there in 2011, we walked out on the court, and one of our players, his name was Anthony Bean, one of the best players I ever coached. One of the first possessions, he shot from the Redbird near half court. He was so jacked up, he just let that thing fly. Of course, he missed it. So we had to have some moments where, like, hey, everybody needs to settle down. We're at ISU. We have a huge crowd compared to, in this case, it was Crete Monier, and we have a chance to go to state. So the distraction that night was just trying to focus on playing basketball because everybody was so excited to have a home game at ISU. And some of those possessions at the beginning of the game were just horrendous on offense because everybody was so excited. And then we settled down and ended up playing a great game. So yeah, that's a distraction. The cameras get bigger when you go to state and you're down there, and there's interviews and things like that. And so then some guys are trying to do things to get themselves what they think to help them get seen, and they do really silly, dumb things on the court. And so those are definitely distractions that we trying to talk about. Let's just play basketball. Can we just do what we're trying to do to win the game? Nobody's going to remember your behind the back spin dribble that you think people are going to talk about. They're not going to remember that. And that it's not very effective anyway. So you're definitely right. Those kind of distractions where they're trying to get seen is kind of tough to play through.
Well, Coach, like you said, 2011, you got 4th, 2015, second, unfortunately ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw that year. And then in 2024 got second again. So, how did you think handling those things? I mean, when you say distractions too, and I don't want to jump in here on anything, but I mean, like you said, the media, I mean, I'm thinking of, again, with the stuff this week, being only 2 hours from Champaign, tickets, did you have to deal with that?
Yeah.
I had people all just hey, can you get tickets? What do I need to do? Like, I'm trying to get ready for a game. I could care less about where you're sitting. But yeah, just, those things, the plans and that. So as from year to year with that experience, did it help?
For sure. It's funny you mentioned tickets too, because, we're high school coaches. We don't have it set up for people to take care of tickets like that too. And one thing I always remember is, like, when we go to ISU or U of I or the Civic Center Peoria, they're more professional. High school is very easy. Pekin High School is one of the best places, and they understand. Oh yeah, you need to get some extra people or family coming. We understand. You go to these other places, now everyone has to have a ticket at the right place at the right time. And that was a huge distraction, trying to get everybody there. And we're trying to get elderly parents to come to the game, all that stuff. Yeah, it was crazy. The thing I remember about 2011, and you were down there and you had experience, but we felt like we were not prepared just for where to eat, when to eat lunch, um, how to time everything, what gym we needed, a gym to shoot around, um, and those kind of things. And the thing I'll never forget, Peoria had that great convention hall, the experience, which I thought was great. You walk around there and you can shoot baskets. And so here we are, the Normal Community Ironmen are at state for the first time in 2011. It's Friday morning. Rock Island was playing the morning. The 3A was playing the morning games. We had the night games. And so the guys had the option, you could go in to watch the games, you go to the experience and shoot around and watch games and have fun. And so we're going to meet back here in an hour. And we're walking around the experience with the coaches, and one of our players runs up and says, "Hey, coach," and he names the three of our starters. They're at the 3-on-3 court getting ready to play 3 older guys from Peoria. So the coaches run to the 3-on-3 court in the experience, and our guys have their shirts off, checking the ball up, and the guys, to me, from Peoria look like they're in their 20s, getting ready to play 3-on-3. So we had to run on the court like, hey, you're not playing against these guys. And like, hey, they were challenging us. We want to take them on just one game. No, we're not going to sprain an ankle at the 3-on-3 game in the convention hall of Peoria the first time we get down here. So those were kind of things that we weren't even expecting. But that group of guys, they just wanted to play ball. But yeah, get your shirt on, get out of there. We're going to go fight. We're getting out of here right now, because it was not a great situation. But it did help. I mean, the more you're in those situations, the better it is in the years to follow, or just preparing for the whole thing. And the next time, you said in 2015, we end up running into Jalen Brunson's Stevenson team. The team had an unbelievable head coach too. Was a great coach. And they had a guy who went to Rice and a player went to Indiana, and then Jalen Brunson. And I remember about that as the day before, Jalen Brunson was like 6 for 18 in the game. They won easily. And I was hoping he would be 17 for 18. I was hoping he'd just be on fire. So the next game, the law of averages maybe would even out.
Yeah.
It was kind of cold in that game for him. And so then you knew what was going to happen in the championship game. So it didn't work out great. But 2022 was unique because it was in Champaign for the first time, and we're 45 minutes from Champaign. So we actually stayed at home. We came home and spent the night and went to our gym on Saturday morning. I thought we had a better plan. We didn't play that great that night either, but I thought we had a good plan that time, just to come home and we had a good meal together and got up and got everybody up and shot at our gym, and then got on a bus and came to the championship game. So, but yeah, second place twice, but still a lot of fun. I'm not going to complain.
Check him out. There he is.
So as you were preparing for postseason and preparing for some of these moments, are there people that you reached out to, other coaches that you sought advice from?
I can't remember, Coach, if I talked to you about it too, but I know I talked to Coach Waldo from Edwardsville, and I talked to the Peoria High coach, Coach Ruffin, because we had to use their gym. He gave me some good advice, and but I just kind of asked. I learned a lot too from the Warren. We played Warren our first game at state, and so I asked him what he did and I knew when I talked to him before the game we were in trouble. They had a film session. They were well ahead of what we were doing. We had a hard time even getting film because it was so far away. In those days, it was hard to get film.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from losing the first game and what he said he did and how he had his team prepared. But I think the key is if I would give someone advice the first time they do it, I probably should have called 4 or 5 different people. I really should have been better at that. But we were just so excited that we were going to state and those kind of things that I didn't ask as many questions as I should have. And then as years went on, I did a better job. One thing that stood out to me is uh, the Stevenson coach. What he did is they were in the Elite Eight all the time. He would send emails a couple of weeks before or a week before, and try to get film on different opponents well before he even knew who they were going to play. And so the Stevenson guy had film on us 3 or 4 weeks before we even got there. And I learned a lot about that too, about just having some stuff, just having a coach, an assistant coach, kind of peek in on normal community and what they're doing. And then when it came time that we're going to play us, they already had some knowledge about us even before they started doing a deep dive film. And so I'm lucky I have 4 assistant coaches here. 3 of them are volunteer and they're phenomenal. And so we've kind of started doing that. Like, who can we start getting some film on? We had some film on Chicago Marist this year because we thought if we got to it, we might play them at ISU. Obviously, we didn't get there, but I thought that was really interesting that the Stevenson coach, they always 3 or 4 weeks before, they were already getting a little bit of knowledge of each team. So I learned a lot from him too.
Yeah, and that first time, it's just so fast. I mean, especially when the super section was on Tuesday and you get the box of stuff and you just, oh, we're leaving Thursday.
Yeah.
It's just so quick. But I remember one of the little ones that stuck out to me was Eric Bryant at Spring Valley Hall had been there in 97 and 98. And so in 99, I checked with him. They were in our conference. And the one thing I took from him, he said he learned the second year they went is he let the starters stay in the same room because the first year he didn't do that. And you got, 13th guy, 14th guy, they want to stay up late and they're all excited. And then the starters, he's trying to get to sleep. And so it was like, nope, just 4 rooms are for your top 8 guys and they're all going to get enough sleep. So just little things like that you don't think of.
Yeah, I think the first time we went through it, it was crazy. The second time I'm a history teacher. We're actually in my history classroom right now, and this is called the Cardinal Corner back here.
Yeah,
the corner of the room. Yeah, and the second time we went to state, I had a student teacher, and he basically, I told him I'm not going to be in the room for these 4 days. And that helped a ton. And then the third time, I just told the administration, like, I almost need I need a sub. Like I can't be in the, like, there's this, so like you said, they give you a box, you have to do phone interviews. There's so much paperwork. And so I ended up each day of the third time just in the room with the athletic director, he and I for a couple hours during the school day and never had to deal with my classroom. So you need help like that because it's unbelievable how much of those things you have to do.
Yeah, when I was teaching at Galesburg, Evan Massey was taking the girls' team, and teachers would kind of just cover his class for him to do all those things. I was, fortunately, when I became a head coach, I was a counselor, so
right.
I could. Sorry, I guess I can't get fired now, but I just shut my door for a while and start watching film and take care of stuff.
And because you think of Coach Underwood at U of I mean, there's people, their jobs are to do that. And at the high school level, you have a athletic director and athletic director secretary and some people to help. But they did a great job. My during those years they did a great job helping. But that's one thing I learned too, because 2011 I was trying to teach and do it, and I was up till 1 and 2 in the morning, and I was exhausted. I was just like, this is it's exciting and I love it, but I need to be focused on other things, on tickets and interviews and those things.
Yeah.
And so you learn a lot by doing those things, being a part of it. That's why, I would love to go a 4th time, but I know that 3 is not many people ever get to go 1. So I'm thankful for each time that I've been able to go, but I would love to go again because I know what I would like to, some things I'd like to do different the fourth time too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was going to choose.
Kind of wrapping things up a little bit. So you talked about the prep and the changes and the pressures. How about you kind of almost transition into wanting to go again, but how is the perspective? You get to the big stage, whether it doesn't matter what place you get, you still, like you said, gotten to a point where, I mean, I always just thought it was like a pipe dream, like it was always the goal, but I didn't picture that. How about coming off of that, the perspective, the ego, whatever it might be after reaching that point?
Yeah. In 2011, I was exhausted afterwards. The other 2 years, one thing that really stood out to me, the lady said it in 2015 at Peoria, and U of I is a great place for the state championship game. I thought also Peoria did a great job too. But the lady said, as we're going on the court, a lady who's in charge of letting teams in and out, she looked at me and said, "Hey, coach, you are the last game of the state of Illinois playing. This is the last game in the state." I just got goosebumps. I was like, "This is incredible," you know. And so, you're in the game starts, and you're able to focus on the game, and the games go faster than normal games too. It just seems like it is like a blur. But when I was able to reflect back, you get home on Sunday, and then Monday you're back at school teaching and doing things again. And then spring break is kind of where I could really reflect. And I would just tell my wife, like, man, when I first started doing this, I was just hoping to win a regional championship. I was just really excited if we could win a regional. And I can't believe that we went to the state championship game. You just start reflecting back and you're just thankful. And then, as you know, that group of guys that you go to state with, and we still have a text chat with all three of those teams. And those teams get really tight. Because you have 3 extra weeks of intense, fun basketball. And so then you have memories for the rest of your life. And so those guys still text. One of the players from one of my teams texted after the Duke game, said, "Coach, fake high and go low. If you just would have faked high and go low, like you said to do a million times, And so you really have some really great memories. So I was able to reflect back, and I just think, Coach, is this a sense of gratitude that many, as you know, many great coaches never get that opportunity. We've been around great basketball coaches, high school coaches, who I've said they've outcoached me tonight. I just had a 6'9" guy. That's why I won tonight. And so I just have a sense of gratitude that I've been able to be a part of these moments, and I'll never forget them. I don't know. I have a few years left. I would love to do it again. It's like a drug. It's like an addiction to go to make a run like that, but you can't control it, and you don't know what's going to happen. And so I'm thankful that I've got to do it 3 times.
Yeah. Well, I know one team you beat in the sectional in 2015, but
yeah, that was a crazy game at Pekin.
Yeah.
Because that game was harder than the next game, because the next game was a good Alton team, but your team. That's the thing, is that's what's crazy about high school basketball too, is you might play a tougher team earlier than you do later. In 2024, we got to the state tournament and played a good Palatine team, but the Rock Island, Moline, Quincy team we beat to get there were better than the Palatine team. And so a lot of it is geographic luck. If you're in the right space geographically to make a run at the right time when everybody's healthy and all those things. So,
Yep.
I beat you had that great score, 6'5". I wanted him to go to ISU, and I couldn't get ISU to look at him.
Yeah.
He went out and scored 1 million points out at Montana.
Montana State. Yeah.
He went out and scored 1 million points out there.
Tyler Hall.
Yeah, great player. So, very thankful for those memories.
I know Andrew's dealing with tech here, but I think you got something? Yep. There he is.
No, I don't think I have anything else, but I just appreciate your perspective. And, I'm sitting amongst a couple of Hall of Famers here, so I'm a little out of place here.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But I do know it's fun. Like I said, it's incredible to be a part of it, and I don't take it for granted at any moment that what we were able to do. So we have the banners in our gym. There's the three of them are up there, and I look at them about every day. Every time I walk through the gym, I look at those three banners, and just very thankful for them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I know
sense of
you have
gratitude.
yeah, I know you have strong faith. At one time, you and your wife went to the same church as my sister and brother-in-law and their
Yeah,
family. So a lot of connections. But yes, your humility through all of it, I've always admired. Um, Obviously, shared scouting reports and different things over the phone, and um, stolen things from your program
oh yeah.
without you knowing it, probably.
Yeah, you like I said, you were a great help because you were ahead of me by a few years, and I watched you and when you took over Rock Island High School, that was not an easy place to take over at that moment. It was not that easy, and you got it rolling again and brought the state championship back. First coach to bring a state championship back to one of the public schools in the Quad Cities. So great job. I tried to
Right.
keep Moline and the year that they did, we played them in the sectional when they had Harding and Freeman. We tried to keep them from going on, but they were awesome. Rock
Yeah.
Hardy was great. So
Yeah.
but it always ends up, what I say over here in Normal Community, it always ends up Rock Island or Moline. We have to beat either Rock Island or Moline every year to do something. So
Yeah.
it's quite the challenge over there. Great basketball.
Nope. Well, continued success. It sounds like you've got a few more years in you.
Yeah, we'll see. One at a time now. We're going one at a time.
Okay. So yeah, Coach, we appreciate you having you on, and for your insight, and again for what you're doing with FCA down there. Maybe real quickly, touch on, are you the Huddle leader or involved with the Huddle? And I've seen from some of your former players talk too. So
Yeah.
actually, it's a good little tangent to finish on, I think.
We are Thursday mornings in a senior cafeteria. We have our FCA huddle. We average about 50 students, but we probably have had 120, 130 different kids kind of come through. You know how it is with math tests and things like that. And me and an older guy named Joel Swanson, science teacher, we've run it for about 28 years. And a few years ago, we got a young guy named John Boenzi, who's our track coach, football coach. He is on fire. And so he has taken our FCA to new heights. He'll come in with ideas, and we said, "Hey, we'll support you. You have these ideas. Movie night, game night. We're having tomorrow for Easter. We're having a bunch of food, and so yeah, we have a great FCA huddle. New young guy with who's brought some fire. We always kind of say we felt like we're the old prophets, the Old Testament prophets. We're like just hanging on, like remnants hanging on here. And then like John the Baptist showed up and he's bringing the heat. So it's awesome. And we have a new leader in our area named Isaac Steiger, who's our FCA area director, and he's on fire. So I'm around two young guys that are, you know what happens when people are on fire too? It gets you fired up again, and,
Yep.
and so for many years we were running FCA, scrambling to get speakers, and now we have a guy who's taking it to the next level. So yeah, it's great. More teachers involved, more students, and we're on fire around here. So I'm excited about it.
Well,
Yeah,
it's great to hear.
yeah.
So you're impacting kids not only in your practices but throughout the school.
I hope so. Yeah, I teach a lot of freshman classes too. There was some giggling today on here, and I thought I'm getting maybe too old for some of the freshman students I'm teaching, but it's still fun. And this is where my wife's an art teacher here, so we spend a lot of time here up at Normal Community. With her being an art teacher, she wants to go see a choir concert or a band concert. So we've just planted our flag here at Normal Community, and we come up here all the time and are involved with a lot of different things. So it's fun. Know a lot of people because our kids are going through, and yeah, very thankful. Yeah, I love this place, and this is where God has put us, and we're trying our best. God's help. So yeah.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you and thank you for serving down there. I can vouch that Isaac's on fire. He's a great dude, and but I appreciate you serving in the coaching world, the teaching world, and within FCA.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for what you're doing too over there on the western side. So appreciate it.
Yep. Okay. Thanks again, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Andrew, not only do we appreciate Coach Witzig coming on, we'll kind of talk about what he said, but appreciate you dealing with technology issues and having some background noise with where you're at and staying focused with us. I know it can't be the easiest thing in the world.
There's nothing worse on podcasts than bad tech, so I apologize. But yeah, hearing Coach's perspective and talking about the different, I really appreciated him talking about like, here's what happened, here's what I learned from, how I learned from it. So it wasn't one of those things where you just kind of off the cuff a little bit. He learned from every experience, said the three experiences down there. They talked about it being like a drug, wanting to get back, and part of that is like, hey, last time we did this, and now I want to go give this a shot. And so really good to hear him how, he's evolved in his coaching perspective going through that.
Yeah, and how he mentioned of asking, you know, I don't want to say you're humbling yourself to ask, but in a way, I think,
Yeah.
hey, I'm the coach of the state qualifying team, and I need to figure it out, or whatever. But
Well,
no, ask
sometimes
somebody.
admitting that you don't know everything is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you got to admit that, hey, I'm doing something that I don't know, even though you kind of put up on a pedestal when you make it that far, even as a high school coach. And so you're admitting that I don't know everything here. I need help. So that is a pride thing, and it's hard.
Mm-hmm. And you're asking peers.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I said, conference opponents, that you're supposed to go against, but ask. And on the flip side that we didn't really get into is how many of those coaches are more than willing to help. I mean, I think that's something in
Absolutely.
the coaching fraternity that I've heard stories of some that don't necessarily, but so many, not only this situation, but they share ideas and they're willing to help other coaches. And I think that's so healthy for the profession, and it's the way we should be anyway.
Yeah, as far as other coaches being willing to help, I think more often than not they are, and you just gotta ask. And so I'm sure you've had it where people have reached out to you. I've had people reach out to me, and we all start somewhere. Everyone's got to learn from some point, and no, not a much better place to learn from in the coaching world than those who have gone and they've done it, they've experienced it. They can give you, their positives, their negatives, their feedback, and kind of point you in the right direction.
Yeah. And I thought that it was interesting too, being on the big stage. You mentioned how it was like a drug. You do want to get back, but he also alluded to the fact that those teams are close, and it was much more than oh, we got to the state title game, like he said. The lady was mentioning you're playing the last game of the season. Well, okay, then you're right back to, he said, history. You're teaching history next week. It's back to that, and so as much as it is being a part of that, um, it's not that's not where it stops. You keep coaching, you keep working with kids, and also that he mentioned how you've got to be fortunate in
Yeah.
those situations.
Well, talking about being back in the classroom Monday, like that's where we always talk to kids about like who are you giving glory to when you play, because like you can win a state championship, and it's definitely okay to strive to do that. But then when the state championship game's over, the season's over. And that doesn't mean you won't have memories about it and you won't talk about it for years, like you talked about with the text message thread and all that. But like then who are you after the season's over?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you when things don't go well? Who are you when you can't play? Like, well, what's your identity then? So yeah, that's where I mean you can tell coaches living in a good spot there as far as communicating with his kids and living in the moment there, but then also knowing, hey, there's something bigger out there.
Yeah. Well, it hit me in '99 because we had a lot of stuff go on for about 3 or 4 days after we got back, and we had restaurants that, hey, we're giving free meal and this, all these things. And I still remember our garbage morning was on Fridays because it was always on game days. And after all the hoopla and all this other stuff, for some reason, I just remember, maybe it was God humbling me, but still riding the high a little bit of all the stuff that went on that week, and realized that 6 days later, from Saturday night down to the next Friday morning, that I was back to taking the garbage out to the curbs. Nothing
Still
like
got to take
getting
the garbage
humbled.
out. Still got to show up to work.
Yep. So, no, I appreciated Coach being on, and a great guy and a great Christian as well. And I know has had a tremendous impact on kids down there with his program and at the school.
Absolutely. So, well, we appreciate you guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. Go ahead and send on the link to anyone you might know to hear Coach's story, and to go on and hear other people's other students and coaches' testimonies and stories. Got lots of good ones on there now, so we'd appreciate that. And then also coming up, we got the Three Rivers Gala coming up on April 10th to celebrate how God's been moving through the ministry over the last year. We'd love to have you guys as our guests. There's no cost to attend. Just show up and celebrate with us. So we look forward to that night. We'd love to have you guys.
Yep. So again, for Andrew Hofer, our area director, this is Tom Sigel. We appreciate you listening to another episode of Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA.
Thanks for watching this episode of Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA. If you have ideas for content or interview suggestions, just reach out to Tom or Andrew. Thanks again for checking out Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA.